Hello, and welcome to Sonata She Wrote. This is the 10th song in my series on Die Schöne Müllerin, Tränenregen, or Rain of Tears. As the name suggests, this is the song where the Miller's imagined reality of reciprocated love begins to show cracks. Nothing his mind can't paper over, but there nonetheless. The song starts with a slow introduction that continues the constantly moving eighth notes of the previous song. Emphasizing the separation, however, Schubert begins this song with an augmented tonic chord, this sound here. Not really a chord at the time, an augmented chord would normally only be seen as a passing sonority, functioning as a transition between the previous harmonically stable song, Des Müllers Blumen, into Tränenregen.
Wir saßen so traulich beisammen in kühlen Erlendach. Wir schauten so traulich zusammen hinab in den rieselnden Bach. Der Mond war aufgekommen, die Sternlein hinterdrein, und schauten so traulich zusammen in den silbernen Spiegel hinein.
The song is strophic, but Schubert is grouping stanzas in sets of two before repeating the verse. This works out perfectly with Müller's poem. First, notice that the young Müller is speaking in the past tense. The events of this song have already happened, making the dissonant opening seem like a bitter remembrance. But what's this? The young woman and the Müller are alone? Surely now the young Müller will take this opportunity to speak to her.
Ich sah nach keinem Monde, nach keinen Sternenschein. Ich schaute nach ihrem Bilde, nach ihren Augen allein. Und sah sie nicken und blicken heraus auf der seligen Bach. Die Blümlein am Ufer, die blauen, sie nickten und blickten ihr nach. Und
oh, cool. He's just gonna sit silently next to her and stare at her reflection. Totally chill thing to do. As a way to get to know someone, this is a terrible strategy. But as a metaphor, this is perfect. The Müller doesn't speak to the young woman, and ironically, in this case, he doesn't even look at her. He is staring at an image of her reflection in the water. At this break between the third and fourth stanza, as between the first and second and the upcoming fifth and sixth, Schubert interjects some of the Brook's music to transition us into the next section. The Müller, the young woman, and the brook all play a role in this song.
Und in den Bach versunken, der ganze Himmel schien und wollte mich mit hinunter in seine Tiefe ziehen. Und den Wolken und Sternen, da rieselte munter der Bach und rief mit Singen und Klingen, Geselle, Geselle, mir nach.
Suddenly, all of reality seems to be not on top of the brook, not reflected in the brook, but under the brook. The miller is again being teased, either by his own psyche or by some supernatural element within the brook itself, to join it as one. This is still only possible with the miller's death. The augmented tonic chord, which showed the miller's bitter remembrance of this night, also foreshadows the final section of the song. Lopped off both in the structure of the program, a solitary verse when the others are paired, but sequestered from the rest of the song as well in the parallel minor key.
Im Spiegel so kraus, sie sprach, es kommt ein Regen, ade, ich geh nach Haus.
I think of everything in this verse as happening simultaneously. The miller starts crying because the young woman gets up to leave. I imagine the scenario unfolding similarly to Am Feierabend. Perhaps all the workers are gathered at the brook. When they leave, the young woman stays behind, probably just to enjoy a few moments alone. But the miller sits down beside her. Awkwardly, he says nothing, but instead stares at the reflection of her eyes, which she can probably perceive. Think of making eye contact with someone in a mirror. Doubtless extremely uncomfortable, she gets up to leave and even politely makes an excuse. The music from the introduction then plays again, first almost completely unaltered. It then repeats in the desolate parallel minor key. Our poor miller is crying. How could this happen to him, of all people? If you enjoyed this walkthrough of Tränenregen, please consider pledging any amount to my Patreon or subscribing to my YouTube channel. The next song will be Mine, a sort of halfway point in the cycle before the worm really turns.